So I'm out here on the trail behind the library, and we're gonna find some stuff to put into our painting to make a mixed media painting. We're just gonna find some stuff on the trail. And you can do this in your own backyard. It's likely you'll find some, oh, here's some sticks. These look like pretty good sticks that we could use in our painting for like a tree or something. Well, here's a leaf that fell off. Let's take that too. Okay. You know, we found some stuff right away. And here's another stick. And maybe we might not use all this stuff that we were picking up. But if we keep looking, then we could maybe find something real good. Let's keep our eyes peeled on the road here. The trail. Oh, here's some, oh, cool. It's like some moss. This is some cool moss. Is it moss? I'm not sure. I hope none of this stuff is. And it's also important to be careful when you're picking stuff up off the ground, because you don't want to pick up anything dangerous. So it would be wise to have someone with you that could tell you the difference. Probably better than I can. But I'm pretty old, so I kind of know what looks safe and what doesn't. Oh, maybe that's just some dried pieces of that plant that we picked up. Let's see. There's a mosquito. Keeps trying to eat me. Okay, let's see some like this like mulch and stuff over here. Yeah, let's take a few of these pieces of dried bark. And there's a bunny. Let's not disturb the bunny. Let's go back over here. We don't need too much stuff. This is just going to be a little example painting. Let's take some of these no, it's too wet. Oh, some flowers. Maybe, no, I don't want to pick any of these flowers. I don't see any on the ground to take. So let's keep looking. I don't see, oh, here's a dead flower. Oh, it's not, yeah, it is. Let's take this, we can take this, the leaves off of this. It's a nice little pretty stream. See, it's also nice to just go for a walk outside. And while you're foraging, you can see stuff like this. I don't think rocks would stick very well to our paper. We're gonna use rubber cement. Oh, what's that? I see some color down there. No, it's just a colorful leaf. Don't see anything around here. Oh, here's a bent leaf. So this plant is gonna die, so I think it's safe to take this flower. Let's just take it off. All right, I think we got some good stuff. We made a nice little foraging trip here. We saw the stream. Let's head back and see what we can do with the stuff that we got. Recreate a cool nature scene inspired by our little trip here. Maybe we'll paint some wildlife too. All right. Okay, to get started, I'm going to share with you guys the materials that I'm going to be using. If you have these materials at home, this would probably be the best stuff to use for this activity. But if you don't have these materials, you could use other stuff. I'm going to be using, like last time, some acrylic paint to do this painting. If you don't have paint at home, you could also just do this with like colored pencils or crayons. Those work just as well. I'm going to be gluing our little nature pieces with rubber cement. This is just Elmer's rubber cement. You can find it pretty easily. If you don't have rubber cement, which I think would be the best thing to use, you can probably also try just a regular glue stick. I think that would be more effective than trying to use white Elmer's glue. That's probably the worst, the worst glue to use. Okay, to get started though, I've also got some paint brushes and a cup of water for our paint. But to get started, I'm going to use this pencil to sketch out kind of our scene here with the how we want to use our pieces. Like, what is our scene going to look like? So I'm going to kind of bring these little nature pieces a little closer to try and. So I think this we're just going to make this into like a tree. Like, it kind of looks like a tree already, right? Even though it's just a little twig. It's kind of funny how like nature is like, you know, repeats itself on a different scale. So we're going to make this look like a tree. So we'll just put, maybe like frame that there for now without gluing it. And see what else we can do. Oh, these like look like big logs, like in the context here. Like we could make these like logs on the ground. See, now we have like a forest scene going. This is a piece of a log as well. We could put that in the back for scale. And maybe this is another tree over here, like a dead tree. Or we could put it over here next to this one. And on this side, we've got some bushes. This moss would make a good bush. So would this flower. So we can use this, you push these together to kind of make it resemble a bush. And that'll be like that. We've got this, I like the idea of making this bark into like an animal or something. Like if we could like make that like a deer's head or something like that. That would be cool. But what about this leaf? Maybe this could be the deer's antlers. The leaf is kind of fragile. Who knows if we'll use the leaf? See, this stuff, earlier in my video, remember I said we don't have to use all of this stuff. Some of it might, you know, you might get to this phase and you find, oh, this doesn't really work for me. This isn't really doing anything interesting. So let's put this over here, kind of make it like a shrubbery area by our logs. Yeah. All right, so we've got sort of like a scene here. Let's just do a quick trace of where our parts are going to be. So that's our bush. So I'm going to take these parts, set them aside. I'm just going to write bush here so I don't forget. And let's trace these logs. And that's what we're just going to, we don't need an eraser because we're going to paint or color over these pencil marks so they won't show up later. But even if it does, that's kind of funny too, huh? If a painting says log on it. All right, let's trace this. We don't really need to do too much of a trace there. That's a small. And we'll just make a mark for our bush. And we'll make a line for our dead tree. And we'll make another line, because this would take too long to trace, so we don't really need to do that. We'll just make another line where to put our green tree. And then we could do the same thing we'll just trace the general shape of that piece of wood. Now you guys can't really see my tracings too well, I bet. You can't even see them at all, I bet. They're so light. But if you're tracing along at home, you can see them at home. That's all that matters. So, once you have your items traced out, let's start coloring. Oh, you know what? I'm going to make a couple more sketch marks first. I'm going to do like a horizon line. Remember, this is like kind of a abstract, not like we're not going to paint in perspective here. If you guys watched my perspective lesson, that's what you use a horizon line for, to draw in perspective. But we're just going to kind of make the edge of the mountains, and then we're just going to make a little scenery back there so we know where to paint. And then we'll paint a sun, maybe some clouds. So I'm just going to trace out some clouds and some sun. And there we go. All right, let's get started. Let's start with some green to just kind of paint our landscape, our background for this stuff. So we're going to get some regular green. That's enough. That's probably all we need to mix with. We'll get some regular green, and then we'll get some yellow to make some light green. Oh, just a little bit. There we go. And what else do we have here? Let's see, maybe we'll just mix some brown with our green. That'll make it a darker green. So we'll put some brown on this side, just a little bit. All right, and I've got one of my big brushes here we're gonna mix with. So let's dip it in the water first, just a little bit. You always wanna do that first. So let's do some green and brown together to get like a dark, muddy green, like a froggy green. All right, so this will be our base color. This will be our base green that we're gonna make. So we wanna make sure we make enough of it. So let's just keep going until it looks satisfying. It's kind of starting to look like camouflage or something a little bit, huh? Not the most appealing looking green, but this is just our base color. We're gonna add stuff on top of it and make it look a little prettier later. So let's start with this green. Let's do big strokes across our cardboard here. This is the front of our landscape here. Big strokes with our big brush to fill in that space. So let's take the rest of our paint here, paint the bottom. See how I'm painting over my trace marks kinda, but I can see them kind of leave a little bit of a hint so I know where to go. And you can do that at home too, kind of leave yourself just a little bit of trace, so if you forgot, you know where to put your stuff. But you could also just put it in a completely different place. You can just kind of play around and improvise as you go. It doesn't have to be a plan the whole time, because you might start painting, you might get carried away, start having fun, putting colors down, and you forget your whole plan. And then you gotta start from scratch again. All right, so now let's do some regular green. We'll just put just a little bit of regular green on there to contrast our dark green. So we're gonna put some like that, like the back, some hills in the background. So now it kind of looks like there's some distance there, some scale. So we've got some hills in the foreground and some hills in the background. All right, now let's go back and let's mix our yellow with our green. I think it's time to dip a little bit more water. We'll just do a little dab, put it in, and that'll help us mix faster too. Now, if you're doing this at home with like colored pencils or crayons, you can just keep coloring through this part because you don't have to mix. You can just use the colors you got. If you have different shades of green, that would be best, but if you don't have different shades of green, you could use those colors, brown and yellow, or even blue, to mix with your green to make it different shades. All right, so I'm just gonna use this like light green to kind of feather the top of my hills. So I'm not really gonna put like big strokes. I'm just gonna lightly brush across the top here to kind of give it like a little. The cool thing about using a brush is that it makes these like organic shapes. You can't really reproduce them if you tried, you know? Like you couldn't really try to make a mark like that. It's really hard to. But with a brush, you just kind of whoop, whoop, just kind of let it do its thing. Whoop. See, I'm just kind of draping the brush as I go. And it makes these really cool marks that you can't get otherwise. So a lot about painting is not just choosing the right color, but also using your brush to make textures and different marking, you know, brush marks with your brush. So we've got a nice lush green hill background. Let's maybe do let's add a little bit more yellow to our green here. And just do some grass here in the foreground. And then we can paint our sun and our sky. Oh, too much green. Okay, that's enough, that's good. But we're gonna use a different brush. We're gonna use kind of a smaller brush to make our grass. So let's dip it in water. And get some light green paint. And once again, you can just play around here with your brush, just kind of make brush marks. Like, see how I'm just kind of not making big heavy strokes. I'm just making grass by making these little bitty lines, like overlapping lines. See, that's like a texture you can make by just making these little bitty marks overlap. So I'm going to do some more grass kind of in this middle area where we don't have our pieces resting. And maybe over here on the other side where there's less stuff. All right, so that looks pretty good to me. Let's get started on our sky colors. So maybe this is like a sunset with like lots of cool I mean warm, vibrant colors in the sky for the sunset. So let's do our, you know what, first let's do our sun first. Let's mix some yellow with some orange to kind of get like a golden color for our sun. Oh, you know, I'm actually going to use a big mixer brush for this instead of a little brush. All right, so let's mix those. You know, that's maybe not yellow enough. So let's make that our base for our sun. Let's just do like this. Or you know what, maybe this will be our base for the sky. So we'll just push this across, pull it across here kinda, and it'll make that like hazy looking sunset sky effect. Because all the colors kind of like blend together at sunset when the sun comes up, right? So let's try to emulate that. Let's try to copy that. So we're just going to put this kind of dark orange, yellow orange here first, and then we'll build on top of that. So that's too bright. We got to smooth that out. Of course, the sky would be brighter the closer it is to, you know, where the sun is. So let's go like that, smooth it out. Put a little bit more on this side. So, you might be asking yourself, where am I going to hang up this painting when I'm done with it? Especially if it's going to have a bunch of dead plants and stuff attached to it. Well, you know, this would be a cool painting that you could put like maybe in your garage, or like if you have a shed or some kind of outdoor patio area. Like this could be like a cool decoration for an outdoor zone or some kind of, you know, not inside area, because you don't want to make a mess with all these little nature pieces when they decide to finally fall apart. Okay, let's put some red into our orange here. We're almost out of orange, so we'll put a good bit of red. Oh, gotta shake the tube. There we go. And let's mix that up, get some water. Mix it into our orange. Oh yeah, that looks nice and sunsetty. Nice reddish orange as the sky turns dark. Yeah, that'll be a good one to put on top next. So we'll go like that. Sort of put it up into the sky. Spread it out. Sort of try to blend it with your orange. Paint up from your orange into your red, like that. Now it's starting to look like a sunset, right? Got all these colors blended. All right. Let's maybe put one more dark color. Let's add some blue into our red to get like a purple, because that's when that red from the sun mixes with the dark night sky. Makes it kind of purpley sometimes. So let's see how that looks when we mix our, ooh yeah. Yeah, that's what we want. You know, sometimes it's hard to tell. You might see this on your palette and think, ugh, that doesn't look like a good color. But the true test is when you put it on your palette, put it on your canvas, see how it mixes. See, like, oh yeah, look at that. With the purple onto the red, that mixes perfectly. That looks like a real sunset now. We're just streaking, kind of making soft streak marks, not too hard. Kind of just soft like a brush. Think about like you're brushing your hair or something. Get nice and comfortable for the painting. All right. Now that's looking like a sunset. All right, now from here, we just got a couple more touches to make. Let's take that yellow, kind of get some by itself. And we only need a little bitty dab, so I'm just going to take a bit, take another brush, take that little dab of yellow and just put it right on top of our orange sunset. So the yellow out of the tube is not the best color, but when we put it on top of what we've already done, it's going to look cool. Yeah, so there's our sun, setting sun. And as you can see, kind of the only part that's like bright yellow is the out. Sun is kind of like a rim around it. And that's the brightest part. So that looks great. That looks just how we want it to. So let's go back to our blue. Let's try and maybe use some of this bright blue to make some clouds. You're gonna have some clouds during the sunset. So we don't want it to be super bright. We're just gonna darken it up just a little bit. Let's take the blue and just make some like blobby clouds. Just kind of make little blob marks with your brush to, because that's another, you know, like how do you draw a realistic looking cloud? It's such a weird shape, right? It's that organic shape that you can't replicate very easily. So we're just going to use our brush, the organic shape making ability of our brush to make those shapes for us. And you can kind of guide it how you want it to. See, I'm kind of just making like a smudge, like in a circly mode here. But I'm letting the brush do most of the work with the texture, like on the edge of the painting. Sometimes those clouds just like trail off into little cloud particles. So you can do that with your brush too. Kind of just like softer and softer as you go off, as you trail away. All right, I think that looks good, huh guys? Let's use our mixed media pieces now. So we're gonna get our rubber cement out. I can see that most of this area is dry. You wanna make sure that the area you're gonna glue on is totally dry before you glue on top of it. So you've got, you know, acrylic paint dries pretty quickly. You don't have to wait that long. So you can finish your painting, just like go eat a snack, wait about 5 or 10 minutes and then come back. Or you don't really have to wait too long, as you can see. I'm going to show you right now, because we're not going to take a break. We're just going to keep going. This side here is like totally dry, so I'm going to start on this side first. So let's put a little bit of glue, excuse me, rubber cement. That's what we're using today. Whoop. Rubber cement comes with a little brush too. You just kind of brush it on. That's why I like it for a mixed media project, because you can easily use it with paint and stuff like that. So we're going to brush it on here. Just kind of brush it out evenly, because it'll dry and you won't really see it. But we want to get it nice and spread even so we can just like kind of place our stuff there and then press it down. Just kind of press it a little bit. Try to hold it for like a few seconds. Just kind of hold it in place there, and it should stay. You should be able to make it stay. Right? Let's put another bit of rubber cement just to be safe. So we'll just kind of goop that on there around the edges of our stuff. See, this is where you kind of get experimental with your mixed media. This is what it's all about. You kind of want to make it work. So you're going to try different things to make it work. And I think it's sticking, y'all. I think it's working. All right. Might have to go a little thicker with our rubber cement. But that looks good. I think that looks good. All right. So what else did we have? We've got most of our stuff is on this side, right? So let's make a big chunky line. I think I'm going to try and press down here and here on these leaves, and then on the stalk of the tree. So let's do a nice thick line of rubber cement up here. Nice and sticky and thick. Just kind of glob it on there. And then put our tree right smack dab in the middle. I'm just going to hold it down kind of evenly from both sides like we did before. Just kind of press for a moment. Let's see. How's that feel? Yeah, not that sticky. Let's try it, but like we did before, let's put some on top. So we'll put another layer of rubber cement, kind of, without trying to move our guy around. You can just brush it on, kind of brush it on. Ooh, look, that works really well. If you just brush it into the leaf, onto the painting, kind of flatten it down. Okay, let's let him dry. Maybe put a little bit more up here. Flatten those parts. All right, that looks good. Let's let that dry. Let's put some for our logs down here. Let's put a big space for the logs. And you know, I think those logs are pretty solid, so I think they'll stick pretty well. Logs. They're just sticks. We're calling them logs. See? That's what you can do with your imagination. Let's hold them down. Try and get them to stick. Push them down a little. They're not sticking too well, but if we leave them there, when the glue dries, there we go. Might have to put some extra rubber cement, extra gooey, to get it to stick. Actually, these might be better, you know, if you had like some hot glue or some regular glue at home. These would probably stick better with that. Let's see how that goes. Okay, we've got a couple more pieces here. We've got our other tree. Let's just put a line for that. Just kind of hold it in place for a moment. Got our little foliage down here. So I'm just gonna put in, yeah, like another big smear of rubber cement and just plop it on there. This will be a lot easier to stick. I'm just gonna be very careful. Just kind of push on it for a moment. Looks like leaves are really easy to get to flatten out and stick. So maybe that could be something, you could base an entire painting around collecting leaves and using leaves as a part of your, you know, let's put this leaf down too. It's kind of probably gonna break up, but we could try to get it on there. Yeah, let's do like that. All right. Just a couple more things. Oh, let's just do our deer real quick. We'll put our deer's head there, and then we can paint a deer. So we've got his head. And that's gonna stick good. All right. I think that's a good selection of items. And look, oh, they're not totally stuck yet. Let's let them dry a little bit longer. Well, I think this is a good stopping point here. I think if I try to paint on here, it might mess up my glue. So I'm gonna let it dry a little bit more, and you can let yours dry before you go at it again. But look at our cool little nature scene that we've created out of all these elements in our paint. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm going to draw some antlers right here. I'm gonna draw like a little body, make this guy look like a deer. And then maybe we'll put it up in the shed or somewhere. That would be a good place to display it. Well, I hope you guys had fun following along. I really had fun making this little outdoor scene, and I had fun on my little hike this morning as well, looking for pieces. And you know, when I was like looking for pieces, I didn't really think about what they were going to be or how I was going to use them. Like when I was picking them up, I just kind of picked up what I thought was cool. Oh, need to put some more glue down on my stick there. And then I figured it out later, because you know, a lot about doing art and making painting and like mixed media stuff like this is about improvising and thinking about what goes in, you know, once you have all your pieces, like getting in there and seeing what you can make with it. So if you guys make something cool at home, send us a picture, post it on our Facebook, comment on our YouTube video with like a link to your painting that you've done, because we would love to see it and we'd love to share it on the library's website. So get creative and share your stuff with us, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.